Hello, everybody. Welcome to this evening's edition of Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you here tonight.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality, and every week we have a different topic under that umbrella. This week's topic is soulmates.
Yay!
One of the most common questions that people ask intuitives is, when will I meet my soulmate? And so that's what we're going to talk about. But before we get into that, I should just mention that we are broadcasting on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation on CIVL. And you can also catch us on all the major podcasting platforms. And if you really like the show and you can't get enough of it, then go to drlesliephillips.com, where you will find all of the back episodes that you can watch at your leisure.
And there's 392 of them.
Yeah.
Plus a whole bunch of probably another 100 that aren't podcast related, and then another 300 video ones where people ask questions. You made a video for them. So almost 1,000 on there.
Wow. We're podcasting superheroes, I think, at this point.
Oh, I don't know about that.
So, yeah, tonight we're talking about soulmates. And it's probably something that we've talked about before, but I'll try and give it a different perspective, perhaps.
Yay.
So, when somebody asks the question, when will I meet my soulmate? Or is so-and-so my soulmate? They're really looking at it through the lens of romantic relationships, aren't they? All of their problems would be solved. That this would be sort of like the ultimate panacea for them. And so in some senses, we need to do a little bit of education about what is a soulmate and what is the nature of relationships. So this idea, when will I meet my soulmate? Underneath it is, when will all my problems be solved? When will some magic come into my life and everything will be wonderful? Because this other person comes in and supplies me with everything that I need to be happy. And unfortunately, our universe works on the basis of the law of attraction. What that means is that you get exactly what you are reflected back at you from the people who are attracted into your life. And you therefore also get exactly what you need. They offer you the greatest reflection of you. So every other person in your reality is a reflection of you and your energy. So if you're someone, for example, who's asking the question, when will I meet my soulmate? Because I keep meeting these people and it's a disaster and it goes wrong and they're always like this and they're always like that. What you're failing to realize is that that pattern of reflection is actually telling you something about yourself. So really, all relationships are serving the purpose of helping you to understand yourself better. So if you're showing up in relation to someone else, you're helping them to see their own reflection, and they are helping you to see your own reflection. And that we cannot help that. It's a law of attraction based universe. So that is what we get always. So in some senses, when somebody asks the question, when will I meet my soulmate? One answer is now, always, in everyone you meet. Because everyone that you're meeting is a reflection of you and the energy that you're putting out. And they are partnered up with you to help you in your development of your awareness. And as you may develop your awareness beyond sort of like a basic human level, then in your spiritual growth. So relationships help you to understand more about who you are, and they teach you more about who you are. And when you are triggered in a relationship, it's showing you parts of yourself that may be under the surface and helping bring them to your awareness, maybe unhealed parts of yourself. So in most people's mind, most people who use the term soulmate, I believe they are really referring to their desire to have a romantic relationship that will save them. And unfortunately, that's the only one that is going to save you, if that's the word we use, is you. And so really, the primary relationship is not with another person. The primary relationship you have and always have and can't escape having is the relationship with yourself. So everything in your reality is you relating to yourself. Every other person and healing ourselves. And as we focus on doing that, as we change, the reflection changes. So as we change, as we heal ourselves, then what's reflected back to us, it is also going to change. And then, the secondary relationship is with the other person in a way, okay? And one of the things that we tend to do in our relationship with others is we have expectations. So I talked about that a little bit already. We have expectations of how this other person should be, how they should behave in order to make your reality better for you. And actually, though, they are kind of behaving in a way to help you make your reality better than you, but not the way that we tend to think of it. If only they would stop doing this, then my life would be okay. But they're not going to stop doing that unless something within you shifts. So soulmates, usually people are contemplating some kind of romantic relationship when they ask that question. And really, and what they're wanting is love. And perhaps what they're not realizing is that the only way to create love is to create it within yourself. Because everything and everyone in your reality is a reflection of you. And that's the only way that you are going to get that reflected back into your reality. So if we take what I've said already about relationships being a reflection, one way that we could look at the idea of a soulmate is really anyone who is reflecting back at you some aspect of you that can help you know yourself more deeply, learn and grow from the experience and the reflection so that you can become more of who you truly are.
You know, somebody once told me, and it makes so much sense, that, you know, soulmates, all people think it's all about finding that love, as you were saying. But even then, love is an action. It's a verb. It's actually not a noun. You're finding love, which is an interaction with somebody else. And so what you're saying is so true. If you don't have that here, you're not going to reflect that. That reflection is not going to come back at you in a way.
Yeah,
People will
love is
say,
it's a vibration, it's a frequency.
yeah. Now people
And
could still love you, but you're not going to feel the love.
no, because you can only tune into what you are, the vibration that you are being, and that will inform your reality.
Yeah.
So I guess let's get a little bit more metaphysical, perhaps, with this.
Yay.
So another word that people bandy about is twin flame. And that's almost like next level soulmate. Next level soulmate, twin flame, you know, the ultimate thing. And often the idea of a twin flame is that, well, my soul was split in half and the two halves were incarnated on earth. And ever since then, I've been yearning and searching to find that other half to make myself whole. I do not believe this. You have not been split in half and are searching for yourself. We could say that you are having the experience of being separated from, we could use the word God or all that is, fragmented away from the full experience of oneness, and that is the yearning that you feel, the yearning to reconnect. Who will meet one another and interact with one another? Yes, it is possible, and it does happen. But when that happens, the purpose of it is reflectivity and growth, as we've been talking about. So if an oversoul decides to create two incarnations alive on the planet at the same time, who meet one another and enter into some kind of relationship, the purpose is always maximum expansion, maximum reflectivity and growth. And so again, that puts pay to the idea of that when I meet my twin flame, it will solve all of my problems, I'll be happy and I'll feel complete. Because no, as long as you're alive in a body, you will always grow. You will always grow. And what that type of relationship offers you is a huge opportunity for growth, which isn't going to necessarily always feel like hearts and flowers. You know, it could feel like a very, very challenging thing to be in relationship with another human who shares the same soul or oversoul that you do. And so people think my greatest lover is my soulmate, or my greatest lover is my twin flame. Actually, your soulmate or twin flame could be your strongest enemy. The biggest challenge that you ever came across could be that, because that challenge enables you to grow. So let's see another angle on this. You know, you're all vibrational beings, and you're all offering a vibration, and you're all attracting into your sphere matching vibrations. You can't help it. And so you can have, you might think of a sort of extreme soulmate or twin flame type thing as being someone where there is this maximum resonance between the two, right? So there's like a really strong resonant vibration that pulls you into one another's orbit to have a very, very intense exchange or experience, which could be brief or could last for a lifetime. So the purpose of these types of relationships really is to grow, to expand, to learn more about yourself. And so I think a lot of people have this idea of a soulmate or a twin flame as this perfect ideal that will be created. And then they're constantly disappointed because that's not what they get. If they continue to look for that without looking within first, without loving themselves, without healing themselves, then they'll be constantly disappointed because no one will ever live up to their expectations. So I would love, when we get back from the break, if people want to talk about their concepts of soulmates and twin flames and ask their questions about it, that would be great. It'd be great to just go into the discussion and the Q&A when we return. So I'll see you soon. Or you'll hear me soon if you're listening on the radio. Welcome back, listeners. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello.
Hello. Tonight, we're talking about soulmates. And
yes, we are.
Yeah, I think we've done other shows on it, so I've tried to give a slightly different perspective tonight. And
we've done a lot of we've done a couple of shows on it, but there have been a lot of questions. If anybody's really interested, they could take a look at the frequently asked question FAQs. Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, these video questions answered on our podcast page, and it was a lot of people just asking very direct questions about soulmates that are you have responded to. You might find some really interesting stuff in there.
Yeah. Anyway, according to my definition of soulmates, you're all soulmates out there watching. We're all reflections of one another. And I'd love to hear your reflections or your experiences or your growth around the idea of soulmate that you have experienced in your life.
Yeah, it's it's true what you're saying. It's people look for relationships, they look for love, they look for that ecstatic relationship, but yet they're not happy with themselves, and they're looking outside of themselves for somebody to make them happy. I mean, how many times have you heard that? What do I have to do? I need to find somebody so that they can make me happy. Well, it's the other way around. Until you make yourself happy, you're not going to find somebody.
Yeah. I listened to something interesting from Satguru, and somebody asked him about soulmates, which he found hilarious. And one of the things that he said is a soulmate is a term that was invented in high school. So when you like somebody and you're afraid that they, you know, may get away, you tell them that they are your soulmate in order to control them, because the idea is, well, you're my soulmate, that means you have to stay with me forever and ever and ever. So it can be a way of trying to manipulate people. You're my soulmate.
I've never heard that one. That's interesting.
The other funny thing that he said, and I can't remember, there was some Indian name for this, and I guess it's some seating position where you sit and you put your feet together like that. And he said, this is how to enjoy your soulmate. Put your 2 feet together. Anyway. Yeah, I'd love to see if any of our listeners have anything they'd like to share or ask.
May says, I call my experience the agony and the ecstasy. Meeting a mirror 24/7 can be really tough.
Yes, that's really sums things up in a nutshell, doesn't it? The agony and the ecstasy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Very true. Yeah, that soulmate thing. I get what people are looking for. However, people, when they say they're looking for their soulmate, they're looking for 100% agreement or total acceptance of who you are. At the same time, the reflection should be the opposite way around too. You should be willing to accept them 100% of their time. And very few people in the world are willing to accept somebody else at 100%.
Well, because that is a quality of the masters. To be in acceptance of what is a level of mastery. So very few people are able to 100% of the time accept what is. But that is the pathway to harmonious relationships, is to be able to accept people as they are. But yeah, often a person will want their partner to accept them as they are, and then they will want their partner to conform to their expectations of what the partner should be. So it's very and we can also revel in our relationships for the differences that everybody has. Yeah.
We have a comment from Zachary. Zachary says, when I asked myself who is my twin flame, I got Breeze, Brees. When I met her, Brenda, I asked her if her name was Breeze, and she shook, saying that was her childhood name. No one knows Breezy. Interesting.
That's interesting, isn't it? So that's almost like you had a premonition of, and sometimes we can have appointments set up in advance. You know, we come into an incarnation and there are certain individuals that we are planning to be involved with in that lifetime. Another word for that is, you know, soul group. We incarnate with our soul group. We have our soul buddies that we come into this playground of planet Earth to explore ourselves and help each other grow. So that's, yeah, cool story, Zach. Thanks for sharing it. Okay, so
Just somebody is stating that we're having a bad connection
yeah,
on
we are.
Facebook. I'm not
Sorry,
sure
I
what it is.
know it keeps going off, but not much I can do.
No, the only thing we can do is cut out and come back, but
Yeah.
prefer not to do that. So this is from Katie. Katie says, are there signs of synchronicities we can look for when we've met someone who we believe is connected to us on a soul level, not necessarily romantically, such as feeling familiarity or comfort in their presence?
Well, ultimately, everyone is connected to you on a soul level, because ultimately the all is one and the one is the all. But we might say certain ones might be closer in resonance to us. So I mean, but I think if they're showing up in your reality, then you are connected on a soul level to that person. But I think, if you, because often we've had, I'm sure we've all had that experience that somebody comes into our reality and it's like, I know you. I'm meeting you for the first time, but I know you. You're very familiar to me. And that can be a sign that you're recognizing somebody from your soul group. You're recognizing somebody that you've had multiple incarnations with. I've even had a few times it happened where people get obsessed with a celebrity, right? And they believe that the celebrity is their soulmate, and they book a session because they want it to be confirmed. And more often than not, what's happening is that that person does have a connection with that celebrity, and they're tuning into that connection. They're having that recognition that this is somebody who I am connected with and who I've had past life relationships with. It doesn't necessarily mean, though, that that person now is meant to be with you this lifetime, because I mean, we're all connected on a soul level. And then when we come into planet Earth, we have choice. So this is another thing I encounter very commonly, is somebody will say, or an intuitive, or even me will say to them, yes, I see there's a really strong soul connection between you and this other person. And then they have the expectation, well, if there's a strong soul connection between us, well, that should assure a certain type of experience in the physical world, in the physical bodies. That should mean that we come together and that we're meant to be together, and that it will, and when is this going to happen? And it might do, but it really might not do, because everybody has free will and everybody has choice, and everyone is dipped in the well of forgetting. So yes, we're all connected in love, but here on Earth, when we're acting out these characters that we're being now, it may turn out one way or another, but it will always turn out in a way that you can benefit if you allow yourself to perceive it from a spiritual perspective. Hopefully that makes sense.
Makes sense to me. The subject itself, soulmates, love, it has so many different and that was always a relationship. They base their future on their relationship. They base their, and especially younger people who are looking for marriage, like marriage and children. I understand the attraction. I do. I was there myself, but yet it that's not what life is all about. Life is about experiencing that joy, but not, and I'll say it again, not depending on that to give you joy. I'll go back to
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a, I don't know, what, a two-edged sword if you want to look at it. Like you're not happy without it,
Yeah.
but doesn't
Yeah.
mean you're going to be happy with it as well.
Everything on earth is a two-edged sword. Everything is. Everything has an
Yeah,
opposite.
yeah.
Happy, unhappy.
Well, you said something today that actually goes hand in hand with our topic tonight. Leslie and I went out to a dinner tonight, this afternoon, holiday season dinner, and there was, I think, 150 people in the room, and there were some couples, and most of them were people no longer in their youth. I won't say they were all old, but they were not in their youth. And Leslie came out and she had her hand on the table. I put my hand on hers, and I was just, holding her hand. And she came away. She says, nobody else in that room was holding hands or uh, making contact with the person they were with. I thought that was an interesting perception on your part, Dr. Leslie.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, and I don't really know what to say about that, but yeah.
Well, in a relationship, I mean, in relation to the to people, again, people are looking for that soulmate, and they're looking for that relationship, but then they get into that relationship, and it's no longer there. You know what I mean? They sort of
Well, I think a lot of those people are feeling like their expectations haven't been met, and they've no chance of their expectations being met. So they stop. they, and I think that, and there's a generational thing, isn't there, that older generations tend to stay together longer, perhaps, than the younger generations do.
yeah,
Even
I
even if
guess.
that relationship has ceased to be something that really feels like growth anymore.
But does it have to grow? Does the relationship have to grow, or can it not just be happy where you are?
So we're always growing and we're always changing. We're never just static. And I think in a relationship, you have to grow together. And if one of you is growing really fast, the other one also has to grow really fast. Otherwise, you become vibrationally so very different to one another. So you can only continue to be in relationship if you're vibrating and resonating in a similar way to one another. That's the thing that happens to people when they step onto a spiritual path and they start growing and expanding. Often their relationships change because they are operating in a different vibrational bandwidth, in a way, to the people they used to be in relationship with. And they're no longer connecting. They're no longer meeting on a common ground. So it's a very common thing for people to for friends and even family members to fall away from people when they commit to their spiritual involvement. Because part of it is this healing process where they're letting go of old patterns within themselves and old belief systems that limit them, behavior patterns that aren't really working for them. So they're shifting vibrationally. And if someone that you're in relationship, when you start on that path, isn't prepared to make similar changes, then there's a fork in the road. You're going in different directions. So that's an interesting point, actually, because that explains, in a way, serial relationships, but it also might answer the question that somebody might ask, can I have more than one soulmate? Yeah, your soulmate are the ones that are resonating with you as you are now. You know, and you can meet someone and think that they're your soulmate, and then you can get out of sync with that person, right? Because you've grown and they haven't, or they've grown and you haven't. And now they're no longer a vibrational match to you. And so, you know, I guess some back in the olden days, so I paused there. I think that there's an, oh no, you're there, Corey.
Yeah, I'm here. Let's go for a quick break for a
Okay.
couple of seconds, and I'm not sure why we're having difficulties, but we're having slight technical difficulties tonight.
Yeah, we'll be back after the next set of messages. Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's episode of Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello.
We are talking about soulmates, twin flames, relationships, romantic love, and the law of attraction. And talking about what all of that really means. And it doesn't mean what most people think it does.
We were just talking about people growing at different rates, and I presume when people grow at different rates, the person that feels that they're growing or that isn't growing as quickly or is zooming off, or the other person zooming off, I guess you would hear often, I thought you were my soulmate. Now I find out you're not. I've wasted my life.
Yes, that is a common thing, isn't it, for people to feel like they've wasted their time. And actually, I often also will get people who will come and they will say, tell me if I'm wasting my time in this relationship. Is this the right one? Because, you know, otherwise then I'm wasting my time, you know, and I should move on and find the right one.
The other one is, will he or will she come back to me? That's the other one I
Yeah.
noticed.
Yeah, and so, you know, you're never wasting your time. There's always gifts for you in every moment that you are living, in every circumstance that you are experiencing. I guess it depends on your perspective and whether you're open to perceiving what those gifts are. And you know, I guess someone who's asking that question, is this my soulmate? Are they the right one for me, or should I move on? They're not really a person who, they may not be a person who has opened to the idea of self-reflection and self-growth.
Mm-hmm. True, very true. And Irene says, can one miss out meeting his or her soulmate?
No, I don't know. So let's say it this way. Well, it's an interesting one. In some senses, everyone on Earth is a soulmate. We all belong to the same human species, and therefore we all have things in common with each other, right? We all belong under the same great ultimate oversoul that's responsible for the human species. So of the 8 billion people on Earth, you're not going to meet all of them. But you are going to meet the ones that resonate mostly with who you are being as Anderini in this lifetime. Because you're broadcasting this Anderini signal. And that Anderini signal is like a candle flame that you know, the moths will come in. It's like a form of magnetic attraction, right? And so I would say, in a way, your reality. Could there be, there could be, and probably is, one or maybe more other aspects of you from the same oversoul that you are, living in different countries all over the world. Those, the typical soulmate definition I usually give is that it's a person who's emanating from the same oversoul. Kind of like the same thing as a past life or a future life, but a parallel life. All of your past lives, future lives, and parallel lives, they're all soulmates. They all come from the same oversoul. So there are other aspects of the same oversoul Anderini that you come from that are alive on Earth, and you may never meet them. But each one of those is serving its own specific purpose. It's on its own mission. It's got its own theme that it's exploring. And it's not necessary for you to meet them for each of those aspects to get the most out of that lifetime. So they can be very different to you as well. So can you, depending on the definition we use for soulmate, can you live a life and not meet certain soulmates? Sure. Meanwhile, you're always connected to them if they're coming from the same oversoul. Even if you don't meet them this lifetime, because they're part of the same oversoul, their experience ultimately is your experience, and your experience ultimately is their experience, and you both benefit from each other's growth because you connect through the oversoul that is creating both of you. But you will get the reflections through the people you meet of what you need to experience always. You will always get what you need reflected back at you, regardless of whether you meet, you know, other versions of you that are existing in other places in the world. I hope that makes sense.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a question that we have one from Drashan here. He says, well, not a question, more of a comment. He says, they may just be growing different ways rather than different rates.
Yes,
well,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Each one might just be making different choices,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Sometimes I think about, what's her name that just changed back to Christianity?
Doreen Virtue.
Doreen Virtue. Imagine being in a relationship with somebody and you've met them and they're metaphysical, they're deep into the metaphysical, they're heavy into the metaphysical. So, you know, like you found your soulmate, you're both together, it's so amazing. And then one day she wakes up and says, I'm going back to Christianity. It's strange.
Met somebody who had common values with you, and then they changed very drastically. that's not the same person that you met. And if you're still choosing to resonate with the original values, then you may not be a good match anymore.
Very true. This is from Susan. She says, my best friend is my soulmate. We have been through so many challenges and hard times and good times too. We have a connection I've never had with anyone, and I'm grateful we have stayed in the same. Whoops, I must be missing a word here. No, it's just vibration.
Well, that's also a good example, because you can have really strong, powerful soulmate connections, and it's not necessarily a romantic partner. So I started out in this show saying that, you know, most people are imagining that it's a romantic partner. However, it could be your best friend. It could be your brother, your sister. Could even be, you know, some other family member, or just somebody that you really resonate with and that you grow together. Could be any number of things. Could be your worst enemy as well, by the way.
Huh? You want
A
to clarify that one for me?
Well, because if we're defining a soulmate as, okay, so let's say that gosh, I was drawing myself a little diagram before. Okay. So every human is a combination of dark and light, right? And you're resonating with a mixture. And so somebody could be reflecting your positive attributes, or somebody could be reflecting your, what we might say, negative attributes. So somebody might trigger you and repel you, or somebody might, you know, inspire you, but they're still reflecting at you different aspects of you. And through that reflection, you get the potential to grow. If it's growth through inspiration feels better, perhaps, than growth through you know, being triggered and repulsed. But they're still both opportunities for growth, and they still are reflections of you. One is maybe reflecting things that are positive about you, and the other might be reflecting things that you're rejecting within yourself and you can't yet see within yourself. But if it's drawn to your attention and you heal it, it makes a difference for you.
True. Interesting. So it's quite the topic when you think about it. I mean, I think many. I think when you look deeper into it, people spend a lot of time thinking about this as well in their lives. They spend a lot of time considering whether they thought they'd met their soulmate or not met their soulmate. How can you recognize? How do you recognize soulmate energy?
Well, on one level, it's just everybody.
If then you'd be going, ah.
But yeah, I mean, I think on some level everybody is a soulmate, but there are people that you resonate more with. You know, that it's like, I can't believe how much we have in common. That doesn't necessarily mean there's what. I just think it's everybody, you know, whether it's somebody who is repulsing you or somebody that you can't believe how much you have in common. But it is, the connection is based on resonance. It's based on similarities. It's based on, you know, being in the same groove, hanging out in a common vibrational landscape as one another. They are an accurate reflection of you. The people in your life are an accurate reflection of you.
definitely. Darshan says the high school version is a fantasy idea, and that's not what it really is.
But a lot of people make it that and
Especially,
use it that way.
especially Hollywood these days.
Yeah.
Hollywood really really pushes that paradigm. Um, kids, I mean, kids are looking at serious relationships earlier in life because they think that's reality, you know, like it just isn't reality.
Is that what the trend is? I mean, I don't know that, but if it is, it's sort of interesting because it's sort of almost like generational, isn't it? It's
Mm-hmm.
like fashions come and go.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if the younger ones are getting more into committed relationships. I don't know if that's true or not.
I wonder when the first when the soulmate was first coined, the phrase itself was first coined. Wondering if it was during the flower power generation.
Um, I'm wondering whether it was. I know I've seen, and I didn't watch it, but I've seen come up on my YouTube feed Dolores Cannon talking about soulmates, and so she's passed away now, and but you know her work stretches back many decades. So I don't know if anyone had coined that phrase before she did.
1822.
1822, is it the Theosophists?
No, it was Samuel Taylor Coleridge. He says, "To be happy in married life, you must have a soulmate."
And he's a poet.
Yeah.
So
Well,
he's just being poetic, and everyone else just glommed onto the phrase.
yeah. Well, I think that's about as much as we. Kat says, "I dislike that trend." Yeah, so do I actually. Um, yeah, the media has a lot to do with like the television, streaming. You look at some of the movies that are out where it's just tough for kids. Tough. But even if you look at the royal family, the show we were watching the other day, where Prince William was being pushed to find somebody early on in his life, to find that person. Well, Dr. Leslie, I think that's it for the night. We apologize for the technical difficulties again. It's beyond our control, and
Yeah.
we didn't
But
want to.
next week is Christmas week, so we won't be having a live recording, but we will when we come back in January. And it's worth noting, if you were watching on Facebook and we were blipping out, you also can watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you're tuning in for the live recording, you can switch from one channel to the other. See if that works better.
It does. Well, have a lovely holiday season, everyone, and we'll see you back on the 2nd of January, the Tuesday following New Year's Day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.